USFL happened this weekend.
Yeah.
3.5 million people watched the Generals take on the Commanders. And that was definitely something that I was a part of. I turned the game on. I watched the game. I seen a terrible punt, god-awful kick, 4 bad throws, and I said, all right, USFL is going to suffer from the same problems that every other spring league has suffered from, which is the players might stink. Now, will they have enough time to find the players that make their team good, and some of the players that aren't as good maybe find their way out of the roster or the starting, or is there not enough good players to run a spring league that keep people captivated? Now, you got to remember the XFL had 1 million viewers per game there for a bit until Uncle COVID came through the nacho bar at the Seattle Dragons game and shut everything down. It is awesome to see football back. I think all of us just kind of turned it on because it was football. But much like the Hall of Fame game, you get about 3-4 plays in, and it's like, oh, okay. We're watching high school football again. We're watching college football. I'm very happy for these guys getting another opportunity to play semi-professional. I think a couple of my old teammates might even be playing on some of these teams, and I'm pulling for them. I'm sure some of these guys will make their ways to NFL camps or being on the practice squad or something like that. I'm pulling for them. But as a whole, that football is going to have to get much better. There's some wide receivers that made some incredible catches, but there's a lot of plays that you're kind of just drifting through like, oh, these guys stink. And it's not their fault. It's a new league. You have to have, in football, it's an entire team sport. So if you have one terrible position, that can affect everybody else mightily. But I'm happy football is on. But for me, it's going to be tough to hold my interest, I think, maybe going in next week. Now, Pittsburgh Maulers were supposed to play yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
I turned that on to watch, and it was a behind-the-scenes clip thing. And then we seen that a guy got fired because he chose pizza over chicken salad. Okay, and I like that the USFL is holding their players to a goddamn standard. You know, you're going to be respectful and you're going to eat healthy. And that guy was like, "Well, I don't like chicken salad. I was just hoping maybe for a pizza because much better tasting. And I'm 24 years old. I can still do that. I have pizza every single day of my life, whatever the case." And they said, "Well, we heard you disrespect some people." He said, "I just said yes to." Is chicken salad going to be a problem? Yeah. I'm going to have that pizza instead. He gets fired. So I seen that. I seen the entire thing. Happy for the USFL. I'm not sure the staying power, although there's really nothing much else on. Whenever old football's on, it's hard not to turn on.
Yeah, it's the same deal, though. Like sometimes during I feel so foolish now, but during the season, we'll get one of those Thursday night games that's a real clunker, and it's like, oh, Jesus, this fucking sucks.
Terrible.
And then you turn on something like yesterday, and you're kind of juiced at the start because it is football. Yeah. And then you watch, like you said, about a series, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing this anymore.
I seen and this is not Paxton Lynch's fault, okay? Paxton Lynch, okay? Benny Claxton. Paxton Lynch was an NFL quarterback for a little bit.
Sure. First round pick.
Not his fault. New offense, probably trying to learn some stuff. Just one play. I've had terrible plays in every single sport that I've played. So if I was judged off of my worst play, I would be bummed about that. With that being said, the USFL's opening weekend, we're going to be judging off of every single play we see. Yeah. I watched Paxton Lynch make the worst read I've ever seen in football, okay? Then throw one of the worst throws I've ever seen in football. And that was an interception, and they were already down like 21-0 or something like that. And that was Jeff Fisher's squad. And it was hard to decipher which teams are which is going to come with the territory.
Right.
But there is some fucking terrible football out there.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to figure that out because it'll become just like college football, just become if you want to captivate the NFL fans, I think you're going to have a little bit better football. But it's early. It's their first week. They're going to get better, Connor.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an absolute clown show, and I think this is why we talk about the draft the way we do, because Paxton Lynch was drafted in the first round, and now he's in the USFL, making possibly the worst throws of all time. Like, I think you should maybe think about going to play quarterback in that league just for a week.
One of these leagues would be a blast.
Just one game. Just one game.
And this sounds like, it looks so easy or whatever. It's like, there was a couple of shots I saw where I felt like it was pretty easy read, actually, the entire thing. And it's like, okay, I like the different, they have like a camera on the helmet. I like that. Used for replay, not for the actual shot, but for replay, that's an added angle. Like the drone for certain things. And they had, I guess, the professional droners flying that thing. That thing was flying around. For the kicks, though, we don't need it.
Yeah,
kicks don't need it. It made me sick, and I assume the kicker had flying. Maybe that's why they're absolutely terrible. Little and bad. I mean, there's just There's a lot of things that they're trying, which we appreciate, the chip in the ball. Maybe the ball stinks. Maybe that's why the quarterbacks can't throw them, the punters can't punt them, and the kickers can't kick them. I mean, there is something to think about. Maybe the ball is a trash ball. But as it goes on, we will continue to watch as much as we can.
Yeah. The issue with these leagues is if you got bad quarterbacks, you got a bad league. It doesn't matter if you were playing in the NFL, if you had all the NFL rosters and you took the USFL quarterbacks and put them in the NFL, the NFL would potentially struggle as a league. Like the quarterbacks are an issue, and if the quarterbacking is an issue, it's not a good league.
That is so real. Because the NFL doesn't even have enough quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the NFL doesn't even have enough quarterbacks. They're trying to find new quarterbacks. The new quarterbacks that everybody said weren't going to be quarterbacks are all of a sudden becoming hot topics of being quarterbacks because they couldn't hit on any other quarterbacks. The quarterback is the most important position in all of football. And, like the USFL, the XFL, the AFL, the FCF, the FFA, all of them find that out, I think. But if you have one good quarterback in the league, you can put them on prime time every single week almost and care. PJ, whenever he was at the XFL, Jordan Te'amu.
Those are two best teams.
Those are two best teams. Put them on TV. You got two good quarterbacks that can run offenses. Other than that, you might as well just get a guy that can run. Because the play is going to break down. The offensive line is going to stink at least two positions on every single offensive line, and you're able to run. I think it was Johnson. I forget who it was. Maybe Johnson was quarterback for the other team.
This weekend?
This weekend, yeah. For the game I was watching. He scrambled for 55 yards on one drive, and it was like, that would be my offense every single time. Every single time. Because there's not enough to kind of put it together. I think they trained for like 3 months, though. Damn. They put it together a long time. Did you get a chance to see the USFL at all?
I did. I watched it like intermittently here and there. I got to turn it on and see some good plays, man.
Good work. Did you? You turned that on intermittently. You saw good plays. This is strictly from.
Unfortunately for the guys out there, like there's plenty of really good football players out there, but it's when there's nobody at the game that was on yesterday. You're playing on Eastern. There's no one there. I just feel like it's hard for people to really invest in it.
Listen, I got a lot of respect for all the guys still trying to do their thing. And I like the fact that there's another league to give guys an opportunity to showcase their ability or to keep playing football. There's probably some guys in that league that are very understanding that they're not going to make it into the NFL, but they enjoy the game so much. They're getting paid for it. They keep playing. So I got a lot of respect for everybody out there. But, hey, I must have intermittently hit that thing at a different time than you did. I seen a lot of bad. And now listen, it is not their fault. There's a lot of situations. It's a new league. There's new everything like. But if you don't have a quarterback, AJ, it is tough to watch, and that is a real problem. Diggs brought this up in the first hour. He said if you had the NFL and you took the USFL quarterbacks and put them in the NFL would struggle with ratings. Like the NFL would actually struggle, and I thought that was a very valid point. Whenever you see like a terrible quarterback in the NFL, the game's like, oh, this game stinks. This game is bad. That's all that's really available for these spring leagues because the NFL's got, 3-4 guys on a roster? That thing's going to grow with futures and everything like that. Then all these college kids, they're able to go back to college for another year because the COVID year. So there is a lot of very, 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 very talented quarterbacks that are on roster somewhere and can't join in there. There's probably a good quarterback in this USFL somewhere. I'd assume there's going to be. Just like PJ was, just like Jordan Te'amu was in the XFL, and maybe the USFL would just put those teams on more primetime games. But I didn't see them. I didn't see it, and there's probably great wide receivers out there, probably great corners out there. Some guys will make it to the league, but I think as a whole, from optically watching it, the quarterback play's got to be good. And I don't know how you find good quarterbacks. I'm being 100% serious too when I say that.
Well, also with football, though, I think the biggest reason we watch is because we're invested in players, we're invested in teams, mainly like you're a fan of a team or a region or whatever. How does the USFL get people to get invested in that team? I don't know. Like it seems like a pretty uphill battle.